Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Hare Krishna. Okay. So is Girish Prabhu online?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Girish Prabhu, do you want to take Sanskrit today?
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay, so Girish Prabhu will do Sanskrit, and then we need a volunteer for English.
Can I do English?
Okay, Pinky Mataji, you can definitely do English. Thank you so much. So we'll mute everybody else, and if you can unmute yourselves, I will just share the screen, and then we can go. We're reading from 22 onwards, as usual. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Humble obeisances to all the devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga. Verse 22. Vedanam samavedosmi devanam asmi vashvaha indriyanam manaschasmi bhutanam asmi chetana.
Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness.
Verse 23. Rudranam shankraschasmi viteso yaksa rakshasam vasunam pavkaschasmi meru shikharinam aham.
Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. And of mountains, I am Meru.
Verse 24. Puradasam cha mukhyamam vidhi partha brahspatim senani nam aham skandaha sarsam asmi sagraha.
Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief Brahaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean.
Verse 25. Maharshinam bhrigur aham giram asmi ekam aksharam yajnanam japa yajnosmi sthavarnam himalayaha.
Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas.
Verse 26. Ashvataha sarva vrikshanam devarshinam cha nardaha gandharvanam chitrataha siddhanam kapilo munhi.
Of all trees, I am the banyan tree, and of the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha, and among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila.
Verse 27. Uchhes shravasam asvanam vidhimam amritodbhavam eravatam gajendranam naranam cha naradipam.
Of horses, know me to be Ucheshrava, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants, I am Airavat, and among men, I am the monarch.
Verse 28. Ayudhanam aham vajram dhenunam asmi kamadhuk prajanas chasmi kandrapaha sarpanam asmi vasuki.
Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the Surabhi. Of causes for procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love. and of serpents I am Vasuki.
Verse 29. Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasmam aham petranam aryamachasmi yamha samyamatam aham.
Of the many-hooded Nagas, I am Ananta, and among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama, and among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the lord of death.
Verse 30. Prahladaschasmi detyanam kalha kalyatam aham mriganam cha mrigendroham venetyascha pakshinam.
Among the Daitya demons, I am the devoted Prahlad. Among subduers, I am Time. Among beasts, I am the lion. And among birds, I am Garuda.
Verse 31. Pavanaha pavatam asmi Rahma shastra bhratam aham jhasa nama karaschasmi srotasam asmi jhanavi.
Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of the wielders of weapons, I am Rama. Of fishes, I am the shark. And of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges.
Verse 32. Sarganam adhir antascha madhyam chevaham arjuna adhyatma vidya vidyanam vadaha parvadatam aham.
Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle. O Arjuna, of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self, and among logicians, I am the conclusive truth.
Verse 33. Aksharanam akrosmi dvandvaha samaskisyacha aham evakasyaha kalo dataham visvato mukha.
Of letters, I am the letter A, and among compound words, I am the dual compound. I am also inexhaustible time, and of creators, I am Brahma.
Verse 34. Mrityuhu sarva haraschaham udbhavascha bhavishyatam kirtihi stit shrirvakcha narinam sampritir medha dhritihi kashma.
I am all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience.
Verse 35. Bhrat sama tatha samnam gayatri chandasmam aham masanam mrigo sirsoham rutunam kusumkaraha.
Of the hymns in the Samaveda, I am the Brihat Sama, and of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am Margashirsa, November, December, and of seasons, I am flower-bearing spring.
Verse 36. Dyutam chalahayatam asmi tejasvinam aham jyosmi vyavyasyo sami satvam satvatam aham.
I am also the gambling of cheats, and of the splendid, I am the splendor. I am victory, I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong.
Verse 37. Vrishanam vasudevosmi panvanam dhananjaya muninam epi aham vyasaha kavinam ushana kavi.
Of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva, and of the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Of the sages, I am Vyasa, and among great thinkers, I am Ushana.
Verse 38. Dando damyatam asmi nitir asmi jigit satam monam chevasmi guihanam jnanam jnanvatam aham.
Among all means of Suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment, and of those who seek victory, I am morality. Of secret things, I am silence, and of the wise, I am the wisdom.
Verse 39. Yachapi sarva bhutanam bijam tad aham arjuna na tad asti vina yatsyam maya bhutam characharam.
Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving that can exist without me.
Verse 40. Nantosti mama divyanam vibhutinam parantapa esa tu desataha prokto vibhutir vistaro maya.
O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences.
Verse 41. Yad yad vibhuti matstavam Srimad Urjitam evava tat tad eva ivava gachatvam mama tejo mashas sambhavam.
Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor.
Verse 42. Athava bhunetena kim gyantena tvarjuna vistabhyam idam krishnam ekam sena stito jagat.
But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe.
Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upnishatsu Brahma Vidyanam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Vibhiti Yogo Nama Dashmo Adhyaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, thank you.
Thank you very much, Girish Prabhu. Very, very nice. And Pinky Mataji also excellent, both of you. Thank you so much. Let's now stop sharing this and just share. Okay, so we continue reading chapter a day, chapter 10. Summary of the chapter so far. 1 to 7, understanding Krishna's nobility and serving him. 8 to 11, Chatushloki Gita. 12 to 18, Arjuna accepts Krishna's position and requests to hear more of his opulences. And then current section, which is the last section actually, is Krishna's opulences. Krishna is going through all these wonderful opulences so that we can try and remember him in so many different ways. This is the whole purpose of learning his opulences. And Krishna says his opulences actually are unlimited. This is only a fraction. This is only just like a sample. So we can imagine that Krishna is full of all kinds of opulences. So today's verse is 33. Do the invocation first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, the opulences of the Absolute. And the verse we are on today is 33. Aksharanam akarosmi dvandva samashikasya cha aham evakshaya kalo dataham vishvato mukha. translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I'll read the translation. Of letters, I am the letter A, and among compound words, I am the dual compound. I'm also inexhaustible time, and of creators, I am Brahma. So, Padmamalini will do the purport.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Akara, the first letter of the Sanskrit alphabet, is the beginning of the Vedic literature. Without Akara, nothing can be sounded. Therefore, it is the beginning of sound. In Sanskrit, there are also many compound words, of which the dual word, like Ram Krishna, is called Dvandva. In this compound, the words Ram and Krishna have the same form, and therefore the compound is called dual. Among all kinds of killers, time is the ultimate because time kills everything. Time is the representative of Krishna because in due course of time, there will be a great fire and everything will be annihilated. Among the living entities who are creators, Brahma, who has 4 hands, is the chief. Therefore, he is a representative of the Supreme Lord Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So just going back to the verse for a second, just to see if there was anything there that we can pick on. Akshar, the word Akshar we're familiar with. Akshar, we use it in also Gujarati and Hindi as well. So Akshar means a letter. So amongst letter, he says, I'm Akara, letter A. So in the Sanskrit alphabet, A is the very first letter. And we'll go through that in a minute. So he's saying that, and it's a dual he's a dual compound. It's compound. So of the words is a compound word. We also go through that. And he says of time, I'm also exhaustible time. And then in the end, it says, Dataham Vishvato Mukha. So Vishvato Mukha refers to, so Vishvato actually means, Vishvato Mukha means one whose head is turned in all directions. So that is Lord Brahma, of course. A few weeks ago, we were discussing Lord Brahma, and I mentioned that in the Bhagavatam, it mentions how Lord Brahma got the 4 heads. Does anybody remember?
Yes,
He looked
all around him.
Yes, thank you,
In his
Mataji.
head.
Yes, exactly. Because he was, when he appeared on that lotus flower, he was confused. He was just trying to look. Everything, there was nothing he could see, so he kept looking all around. And because he was quickly turning his head everywhere around, the Lord gave him the mercy and gave him the 4 heads, so he doesn't have to turn around so much, so he could see in all directions at one time. So that's good. So the purport is clear. Let's pick up the main points from the purport. So here, yes, of the letters, he says, I am A. So Akara is, like we said, the first letter of Sanskrit alphabet. And here I've got like a little shot of Sanskrit. So you can see A, E, again E, longer E, U, longer U. So this is so Sanskrit, the alphabet starts with the vowels, right? And then later on, if you see down here, it then comes down to k, k, g, g. And like actually, I am not familiar with Hindi, but Gujarati alphabet goes k, k, g, j. So this is why. So this is similar. That comes from Sanskrit, but it actually the whole alphabet sounds. It starts from the vowels. Also, Sanskrit is very precise. You see here that we have a, right? And in English, the translators and Prabhupada has mercifully given us the A, and R would be the A with a mark on top, right? So this way, we are able to actually pronounce it exactly as the word should be. So in Sanskrit, everything is precise. If this is a, it'll never be any other sound. It'll always be a, right? The example in English, for example, is in English, if you have a letter A, for example. So in letter A, I'm thinking of some words, about. So about, the word is there, right? But then you look at the word altar. So the altar is still the word, the letter is still A, but the sound is O, right? Then anger is not it's A. So like this, it shows you how precise Sanskrit is. It doesn't leave you any room for making mistakes. In English again, put, P-U-T, put, B-U-T, but. So, very confusing for people who learn English. And actually all other languages, most are like that. But the Indian languages, even Gujarati and Hindi, we have these letters and they are pronounced exactly as they are written. You don't have to guess how to pronounce it. So this is the beauty about Sanskrit. It is said that a lot of the main languages have their roots in Sanskrit, and you will find many common words if you just study it in detail. Of course, over time, those languages evolved and moved away quite a lot from Sanskrit. But yes, there are roots from there, from Sanskrit. But you can see those languages are not so refined as Sanskrit is. So we should be very proud that this is Sanskrit comes from India, and it is like the mother language for all languages. Then Krishna says, among compound words, I am the dual compound. So these are two names mainly mixed together. So example, he gives the first example, Ramakrishna. Then you can think of Rama Lakshmana. Rama is actually the way it's written down, Rama Lakshmana. So Rama and Lakshman, this is also a dual compound. Hari Harao. Hari Harao. Hari and Hara is the name of Lord Shiva. Acharya Shishyo, teacher and student. So this is how the words get compounded. So this is why Sanskrit, to learn it, gets very complex, because there is this kind of compound words. Then there are sandhis where two words meet together and they're pronounced all together. Sometimes there's a sandhi of 3 or 4 words together. If you're looking at the Sanskrit and some of the even the Bhagavad Gita verses, you will see they're very long words, and these are all 4 words put together, sandhis. So that's why it becomes very hard. So like I was saying before, for us, we don't need to worry about learning Sanskrit in terms of grammar and sandhi and all that. That's quite complex. Unless somebody's very young, I'm not sure. I can't see people's pictures, so I'm not sure. There may be some very young devotees on this call. That's fine. They have the time, but most of us definitely don't have the time. Rather than Prabhupada says, rather than waste time studying Sanskrit, just read the purports, and with the Sanskrit, at least try to pronounce it properly in terms of, because we've been given the A, R, and everything verbatim. So at least we should try and pronounce it properly. If you can learn to pronounce them properly, the potency of the vibration is very powerful. Sanskrit is called, other word for Sanskrit. Sanskrit is Devanagari. Devanagari means the language of the Devas. So it's a spiritual sound vibration. This is why to pronounce it nicely is very nice. And I'm very happy that on our group now we've got quite a few people who are learning to pronounce it and making an effort. And it's fantastic, because that really helps a lot with your reading. It makes that when you pronounce it right, you yourself will know that, yeah, this sounds sweet, this sounds nice. And if you pronounce it not correctly, you will know that something is not right here, right? Pronunciation and the meter. So once you start getting it, then you really start to enjoy it. So then he says, I am also inexhaustible time. And later on he says, purport is among all kinds of killers, time is the ultimate because time kills everything. So there's a verse in the 11th canto which talks about this time and the time's ability to destroy. So Shri Bhagwan Vacha Kalosmi Loka Shayakrit Prabhado Lokan Samahartumiha Pribhatta Ite Pitwamna Bhavishyanti Sarve Yevasti Tapratya Nikeshu Yoda. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all soldiers here on both sides will be slain. So you can see, obviously, this has been spoken on the battlefield. And when Arjuna was sort of confused about fighting, he was saying, I don't want to kill all the people, all my friends, relatives. We don't want to kill anybody. So Krishna is saying to him that Arjun, you have to, as a Kshatriya, your duty is to fight. You have to fight. And these people are dead anyway. Krishna had one of the reasons Krishna actually engineered this Kurukshetra war because he wanted to get rid of all the miscreants from this world. So he's saying they'll die either way. One way or the other, they will be dead. So that cannot be checked. You have to just be nimitta matra, just be a tool in my hand and just act. So here he's saying, yes, I am time, destroyer of everything. These people will be dead anyway. Actually, this verse was not spoken at the battlefield. Yeah, it was. Yes, it was at the battlefield. Yes, but it was spoken during the time when he's showing the Vishwarup. See, in the battlefield, as we know, he's speaking the whole Bhagavad Gita in about 40-45 minutes. So that's why you sometimes get confused about where. But of course, everything's happening on the battlefield. And this particular episode is around the time when he's showing the Vishwarup to Arjuna. Moving on, there's another verse, 10th canto, 3rd chapter, 26th. 3rd chapter is about the birth of Lord Krishna. And this verse is spoken by Mother Devaki. It says, Yoyam kalas tasyate vyakta bandho chestam ahus chestate yena vishvam nimeshadir vistaranto mahiyams tam tveshanam kshema dama prapadye. So this is at this stage, Devaki Mata has seen Krishna, and Krishna has revealed his real form, that he is the Supreme Lord, and he's come here to kill Kamsa. So then she's praying, O inaugurator of material energy, this wonderful creation works under the control of powerful time, which is divided into seconds, minutes, hours, and years. This element of time, which extends for many millions of years, is but another form of Lord Vishnu. For your pastimes, you act as the controller of time, but you are the reservoir of all good fortune. Let me offer my full surrender unto your lordship. So here, Devaki is confirming that Lord Krishna is controlling the time. So you can see here, it's a very nice picture I found, but Krishna's hand with remote control there. And this is the remote control, and there's the time, the hourglass. And in the purport of this particular verse, in the 10th canto, 3rd chapter, Prabhupada is saying, everything is within the limit of time. But time moves under the direction of the Lord, who is therefore not within time's limit. Very, very important to understand. Krishna is controlling the time rather than being controlled. All of us are being controlled by time. All of us will have seen time act on us. When I was young, I was fit and healthy, very, very strong. Now I can see how time has taken some of the vitality away. I still feel quite good, thankfully, Krishna's mercy. But at least I can see how the vitality I had when I was a teenager doesn't exist anymore. And this is time acting on us. So for nobody in the material world, nobody or nothing at all in the material world can escape time. But Krishna is not in the control of time. Krishna is above. And this is why when you see Lord Krishna, he says Parama Purusha. He is the first living entity, the living being in terms of Lord Brahma, of course, is the first, but Lord Krishna is the original person. So imagine in Christianity, for example, they have depiction of God with a long white beard, don't they? Whenever you see them in some movies, sometimes they will also they portray him as an old man with a white beard. But have you ever seen a picture of Krishna when he's old? No. Krishna was, when he was fighting the battle at Kurukshetra, he was 125 years old. But he looked just like a youth. So he remained ever fresh, always around between sort of 15 and 18, 19, something like that. This is because time is not acting on him. This is why he is the Lord. Time controls everything, and Krishna controls time, as we said just now. With the rising and setting of the sun, everyone's life is diminished by the influence of time. Anybody remember a verse in the Bhagavatam about this? About rising and setting of the sun? Anybody here who was on the Bhakti Vaibhav course? I think I saw Ajay Mukunda Prabhu here earlier. I can't see the names now because I'm sharing the screen. Anybody else who's done Bhakti Vaibhav?
I've forgotten the verse, Prabhu.
Okay, no problem. Okay, if I give you the number, would you remember?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Now you will remember it, right? Can you recite this, please?
Okay. Ayur harati vai pumsam udyan hastam jayan asau tasya te yat kshano nita uttama shloka vartaya.
Thank you, Ajay Mukund Prabhu. Thank you very much. Ajay Mukund Prabhu is very good with verses. He likes to learn verses, and he's very, very good. So here, translation says, both by rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. So, Ayur Harati, so it takes away Ayur. Ayur means your lifespan. Ayur Harati Vaipumsan. Udyan, so rising, Astam, setting, Chayan Asau. Tasyate Yatshano, every second. Uttama, except for Uttama Shloka Vartaya. Uttama Shloka is referring to Lord Krishna. So anybody who is engaging his time in discussing the topics of Lord, just as we are doing right now. So the Lord says that his duration of life is not being decreased. So how do we understand that? We can see all the devotees are spending their time discussing the topics of the Lord. You still see them getting old. You still see them leaving their bodies. So how do you understand this verse?
We are temporary in this material world.
Yes, of course. Yes, we are temporary in the material world. That's a good point. But the point is, yes, temporary is one thing, but how can we understand that for devotees who are absorbed in the talks of Krishna, their duration of life is not decreased? You can see they're actually getting old, they're dying.
Prabhuji, I think they clearly understand the difference between material body and Atma and Paramatma, and also they are getting liberated through the continuous discussion of so for them time kind of stops in the long term. They get liberated.
Yes, that's good. Thank you. Yes, Sandeep, that's quite close. That's exactly, actually not just close, that is the right thing. So because the devotees, they understand that they are not this body, For them, the aging of the body is of no consequence, right? Not only that, so for a materialist, for example, whatever he does in the material world, in terms of earning money, getting a good family, getting good properties, cars, whatever he does, all that is going to be finished at the time of leaving his body. But here, in the sense that so they're wasted. The point is, they have wasted duration of life. They have wasted in terms of long term. Short term, they may have had some enjoyment. They may have had some pleasure from those material opulences. But long term, it's finished. The duration of life is finished. Whereas the devotee's life continues, right? There's an English verse. There's a verse about Vaishnavas, but it's in English, where he says that anybody who thinks that a Vaishnava dies is a fool, because the Vaishnava doesn't die. Because a Vaishnava, he takes everything that we have done in this life spiritually, it goes with us. You see, so that becomes our permanent asset, and this is why you have not wasted. This is why, in that sense, you have not wasted your life, and your duration of life in terms of spiritually is not decreased. You have increased your spiritual life, right? Materially or whatever, even materially, forget about the material gadgets and family and things like that. But even if you've been very pious in your life, for example, right? If you've been a very pious person, you've done a lot of charity, you've helped a lot of people, built hospitals, whatever you may have done, right? All those things, I'm sorry to say, of course, it's necessary, and I'm not saying that that should be discouraged. Of course, it's necessary too. But we as devotees, we understand that just gives you sukriti, and that kind of sukriti is good enough to give you a better life long term. So if you have a lot of pious credit, a lot of sukriti, then you will get a better birth next time, maybe even get promoted to the heavenly planets. But the point is that sukriti is not permanent. That sukriti is used up as you live, enjoy it, because what does sukriti? Sukriti gives you the opportunity to enjoy. And as you're then using up the enjoyment, by enjoying it, you're using up the sukriti. And so then, Shine Punya Mata Lokam Vishanti. At the end of the time, when even in the heavenly planets, your stock of pious activities, pious credit gets depleted, you come down again to the material world. Now, as opposed to that, all the spiritual credit that we have accumulated, like we're doing right now, by listening to Bhagavad Gita, by studying Bhagavad Gita, by chanting, by reading, by understanding. So all those things, they become permanent assets. Everything that we do spiritually is a credit in our spiritual bank account. And that bank account is only a one-way account, right? Here our account's two-way, isn't it? We put some money in, and the next month we draw some money out. But the spiritual, you cannot take out. Whatever you have banked does not get depleted, is guaranteed by Krishna to remain there. You cannot waste it. It cannot be depleted under any circumstances. Ahetuki apratihata. No way can that be depleted. It remains. So we keep building that balance. And eventually, when that balance is full, which reaches the optimum level, this is when you leave this sansar. We leave this cycle of birth and death and go back. So we have to do whatever we can to keep putting credits, keep depositing into that account. It is there and it's working. It works. The science definitely works. So this is a huge difference about the normal sort of sukriti and spiritual sukriti. Very, very important to understand that. So in that sense, time doesn't bother us, because we know that we're building sukriti. Okay, it may take a few lifetimes, but as long as we're on the right path, we'll keep moving forward. So then, very interestingly, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th chapter, talks about time. The whole chapter is dedicated to time. And very, very interesting. Parama Karma Karuna Padu. Prabhu, he did this. He taught us this a few months ago, Bhakti Vaibhav class. So here, if it's in terms of Western science, they talk about time. Second is the smallest. So okay, sometimes they will say millisecond or nanosecond or whatever, but they don't have that much more information. Look how detailed time is divided in terms of the Vedic information, right? So how time is, first of all, time is measured how? Time is measured by the amount of time it takes for the sun's ray to pass over a certain distance, right? So the sun's ray passes over the smallest amount of smallest particle is an atom, right? So an atom is called Parmanu. So here, so the first measure of time in terms of Vedic knowledge is Parmanu, which is the smallest measure of time. Parmanu is an atom. So as much time as the sun's ray takes to go over that atom, that's called Parmanu. You put two Parmanus together and you get Trasarenu, which is called hexaton, right? So, and two Prasarenus make an anus. And then, how does it work? So yeah, so they take three Prasarenus make Truti. Truti then here comes the calculation. Truti actually means 13,500 second. Look how small the measurement is, right? And then that Truti, three of the Truti, and then 100 of the Trutis makes a Veda. Veda is 8/45 of the second, right? And like that, we come to Nimesha, Lava. Lava is something we hear also. Lava matra sadhu sange sarva siddhi hai. So lava, imagine that's a little time. So lava is only 8/45 of the second. Nimesha is 8/15 of the second. Nimesha also we hear in the prayers. Anybody know which prayer Nimesha comes in? I'm also trying to think as well. I'm asking the question. It's in the Sikshastakam, one of the Sikshastakam verses.
Okay.
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. No.
No. It's one of the Sikshastakam verses, Nimesha. Okay.
It's Prabhuji, Yugaitam Nimeshena Chakshusha Praveshaitam Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virhe.
That's right, Nimesha, exactly. That's a little time, right? Thank you, Vinda Vilasi Mataji. Welcome to the chat. You've just recently joined, right?
That's right, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Welcome, Vinda Vilasi.
Thank you.
So yes, Nimesha. Then it goes on and on. The Kshana is at 1/5 of a second. Then it comes to Kastha. Then it comes to 8 seconds. Then Lagu, 2 minutes. See how detailed this is. Just amazing. Such amazing science, right? So this is not just some people say, oh, you guys are wasting time. Spirituality is just sentimental. No, this is such amazing scientific knowledge we're getting here, right? This is all the Bhagavatam. So then you come all the way down to the day and night, fortnight, month, season, and then 6 months, and then two 6 months ayanas make a year. Then 1 year, you can then take that onwards to decades, centuries, yugas, mahayugas, Brahma's night, Brahma's day, Brahma's 100 years. So that way, the highest measure, so the smallest measure of time was Parmanu, the atom. And the highest measure of time is Brahma's life, which is 311.04 trillion years. So this is the detailed measurement of time, division of time that the Bhagavatam gives us. Isn't it amazing? Really, really amazing. So one thing that we learn by learning is not just academic learning, but by learning this knowledge about time, it makes us think how insignificant we are. We take this lifetime of 60, 70, 80 years so seriously in terms of material activities and our relationships, and we fight over little things, argue over little things. But you think about it, right? In the scheme of things, how tiny our time in this world is. How tiny. It is just absolutely not even like that, right? So we should utilize our time wisely. This is what we learn from this. So in due course of time, Prabhupada says there will be great fire, Prabhupada says, and everything will be annihilated. So it's explained that in the annihilation, that there's two types of annihilations, partial and complete, total. But actually, we go in a minute. There's four types of different people speak about, but mainly we speak about two. So one, partial, happens at the night of Brahma, where the Sankarshan, here lying at the bottom of the ocean, like Garbhodaka ocean, from his mouth, fire comes out. And everything, all these lokas, all the way up to Maharloka, they get burnt. And Maharloka is the loka where Bhrigu Muni and this very exalted munis live. So they themselves, because of feeling the heat from below, they also, for that time, they move up and they go to Janaloka and they reside there for that time. So up to the Maharloka, up to actually just below Maharloka, everything is annihilated during Brahma's night. And then when Brahma's day happens, they all get reinstated again. And then at the Brahma's life, and end of Brahma's life, after 311.04 trillion years, then the whole universe completely is annihilated, finished. And just everything goes back. So this is, and then as I was saying, there are four kinds of annihilations that you can expand on. So constant, which is called Nityada, that is explained as every moment we are being annihilated. So it is said that our cells of our body are dying and regenerated every time. So in that sense, we are being annihilated every time. Even everything, even in mountains, whatever you look at, mountains, buildings are eroded and things are happening in a tiny, tiny measure. We can't perceive it because it's happening so slowly, but it's happening. So constantly, this kind of annihilation is happening to every living entity and every living thing. Then occasional, this is called Naimitika. So this occasional refers to, I believe this refers to the night of Brahma, yes. The night of Brahma occasionally, so this Naimitika, that's when the annihilation we just described up to Maharloka happens. Then Prakritika, this is the total annihilation. And everything is destroyed. But see, we are looking at this annihilation from our point of view, not as the overall universe point of view. So from our point of view, this is the kind of annihilations. But then finally, from our point of view, the final annihilation is called Atyantika. Atyantika is when we have realized that I am not this body, I'm a spirit soul. Not just that, as a spirit soul, I'm part and parcel of Lord Krishna. And not just that, as a spirit soul, as a part and parcel of Lord Krishna, my duty is to serve Lord Krishna. If you have that complete realization and you act in that way, see, realization is one thing, but then to actually put that into practice and live your life in that way, become a devotee, become a pure devotee, then that is your final Atyantika. That is your annihilation from this material world, never come back again. And we get our Swarupa Siddhi and we remain eternal then. Then he talks about Brahma, of the creators, I'm Brahma. We all know this. Lord Brahma is the creator. But there are two creators. Who can tell me who the two creators are?
Lord Krishna.
Yeah. Lord Krishna and Lord Brahma, exactly. So the primary creator is Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. And the secondary creator is Lord Brahma. So Vishnu creates all the ingredients. Just by lying there and glancing at Mahatattva, Vishnu is creating all the ingredients. And then he gives the job, the service to create the universes to Brahma, to create that particular universe of Brahma rather, not the universes. So Brahma is then entered into the universe and then he is given the knowledge within his heart. Then Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. He then, with that knowledge, uses the ingredients that Vishnu has given to then sub-create. So this is how Brahma is the creator. And then we'll end this with the story about Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma once, he needs to consult Krishna for something. So he goes to Dwarka, I believe. Yeah, so he goes to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna. So at the gate, the gatekeeper, Dwarpar, he is saying, yes, before you can go in, I need to get permission from Krishna that you can go. So can you tell me who you are? So Brahma is a little bit surprised, I'm here with 4 heads. Who doesn't recognize me? The whole world recognizes me. Well, how come this person's asking me? So he says, anyway, he says, I'm Lord Brahma. So the Dwapar goes in there. After a while, he comes back and he says, but Krishna is asking, which Brahma are you? So again, he's surprised. Brahma? Which Brahma? One Brahma. There's only one Brahma. Why is he asking which Brahma? So then he says, okay, tell him I'm Lord Brahma, the father of the 4 Kumaras. So the Dwapar goes again. Then he comes back. It's okay. Yes, Krishna says, you can come. He goes and he says, first thing is to Krishna, before I ask you anything else, let me ask you, why did you not recognize me when I said I was Brahma? Why did you ask me which Brahma? So Krishna smiles and then he waves his hand and this way he calls all the other Brahmas. And then suddenly you can see in this picture, there are Brahmas with 10 heads, 20 heads, 50 heads, 100 heads, 1,000 heads, 10,000 heads. All the Brahmas suddenly appeared from nowhere. And then Krishna explained that, oh dear Brahma with 4 hands, father of the son of Kumaras, the universe that you are heading is one of the smallest ones, and that's why you only have 4 heads. But out there are so many millions of universes which are much, much bigger. And because they are so much bigger, those Brahmas need so many more heads than you. So Brahma then realized where that his situation was so tiny compared to the other Brahmas. And just to end, we'll take one last shloka from 10th canto, 14th chapter 38. This is the prayer by Lord Brahma at the end of the Brahma Vimohana Leela. We all know what that is. Lord Brahma kidnaps the calves and the cowherd boys. And then finally, when he realizes that Lord Krishna, he shows him the Swarupa, he then is worshipping him. And here he talks about Jananta eva janantu kim bahu name prabho manaso vapasu vacho vaibhavam tava kochara. So there are people who say, I know everything about Krishna. Let them think that way. As far as I'm concerned, I do not wish to speak very much about this matter. Oh my Lord, this much. As far as your opulences are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, body, and words. See?
Sorry, Prabhu, the slide has not changed.
Hasn't changed? Oh, you haven't seen the picture yet?
No, only there is the different Brahmas slide at the
Oh, I
moment.
see. Yes, sorry. Yes, the words hasn't come. That's very strange. Can you see it now?
No, the verse is there as well.
The birds are there.
There, yeah? Okay.
You can see them.
You can see, right? Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah. So you see here, it's the last sentence here. Say, as far as your opulences are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, body, and words. So this refers to whole this section, the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the opulences. Even Brahma is saying that your opulences are beyond my reach. So how can we fully understand them? So then we just realize how tiny we are, and take advantage of all this knowledge about the opulences. Try and see Krishna everywhere and anywhere, and this way we can remain in Krishna consciousness, our consciousness being within Krishna all the time. Thank you so much, devotees. Thank you so much for your time once again. We will now open up for any questions, any corrections, any realizations.
Prabhuji, can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
It's about the parallel world.
Yes.
How does the parallel work with Krishna, please?
So, okay, what do you mean by the parallel world?
parallel world is today and another world, another few years, or different world completely? There are two worlds, one today and one another time.
Okay, so there's two ways I understand that, the word parallel. I don't normally, we don't come across that word in terms of the reading we do with the Shastras. But if you say parallel world, I can say, number one, first of all, it could be referring to the spiritual world, which means that yes, whilst we are in the material world, but beyond this material reality, there's another reality, which is the spiritual world, which is diametrically opposite to everything that we have experienced here. So that could be the parallel world. So you could be referring to the spiritual world. And the other way I could understand is that we feel that this is the only universe, but no, as we discussed just a little while ago, there is parallel universes. There's so many universes that are beyond our senses. We cannot even get there. We can't even understand this universe fully. So there is no chance of us understanding it. But we get the knowledge just from the Shastras that there are parallel worlds, parallel universes anyway. And it is said that Lord Krishna's pastimes, when he winds up his pastime in this world, for example, 5,000 years ago, then his pastimes are continuously going on somewhere in some other parallel universe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's why I asked the question about Krishna thinking of the parallel world so many years ago and today.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Thank you.
Because thank you very much for explaining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you mentioned in your earlier slide, time is everything and killing everything. And when Lord Krishna mentioned that only Pandava will live and all the soldiers from both sides will die.
Yes.
But the soldiers fighting from Pandava's side were on the right path.
Yes, that's a very good point actually, because his idea was to paritranaya sadhuna vinashayata duskritam. So idea was to also remove the miscreants. So that's a very good point, Girishmu, that you make. All the soldiers on the Pandava side also died, but then you have to understand that this was due to happen. Whatever, because of the previous karmas, all the soldiers had in their karma to die in this way. And as we understand always, that all the soldiers who died on the battlefield, it was a very, very glorious death. Very glorious death in the sense that because they died in front of Krishna, they all achieved perfection. So all the soldiers, they were fighting, and it was time for them to be liberated. So you see, it's not a negative kind of killing. They're all being liberated. Even Kaurava soldiers are being liberated.
Yeah. So all of them got liberation then, Kaurava side as well as the Pandava side.
All the people who died on the battlefield got liberated.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Different types of liberations, of course, just to clarify. As you know, there are so many types of, there are 5 types of liberations, and this was like, they have different types of liberation. Not everybody goes back to Lord Krishna. Some would get just merged into the Brahma Jyoti, some would merge into Krishna's body.
Okay.
Like that. But they did.
Okay. Sure. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Mukunda Hari Prabhu, Hare Krishna. This is Divyanam Das here. Thank you for the nice class.
Thank you.
There is a question on the chat box. It's saying, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, there is a reason mentioned in the scripture about why the Brahmas have different number of heads. Why number depends on the kind of the universe?
Yes, so the only information, thank you Divyanam Prabhu for bringing that. You know what, somehow when I'm sharing the screen, I can stop sharing it. I can't actually see the chat, but now I can see the chat, yeah. So I'll explain that the way I understand it. So it is said that it is in relation to the size of the universe. As I was explaining earlier, that ours is one of the smallest universes. And the larger the universe, the more heads Brahma has. So this is the relation in terms of the number of heads that Brahma has. More than that, I do not know. Divinam Prabhu, if you know something, you can explain.
Mukunda Hari Prabhu, my understanding is the same as yours. That is the only explanation I've heard which you have explained, Prabhu.
Yeah, so that's exactly, this is the only explanation I've heard before. But yeah, there could be more to it, because, you know, Vedic knowledge is infinite. So whatever we know is not the total. There could be something else. So
May I add something to this, please?
Yes, please, Sandeep Prabhu.
Yeah, from what I have heard, studied in science, we as human beings, we see things in 3 dimensions, but there are actually more than 17 dimensions. I mean, in the laboratory, there are up to 17 dimensions.
Okay.
So in our universe, things are mostly 3-dimensional in our consciousness.
Okay.
Like see a piece of paper or a dot, which is 2-dimensional, or one single dimensional is a dot, a line is 2-dimensional, and any other object is 3-dimensional. So in case of other universes, it is stipulated that there might be more than 3 dimensions, and then to see those dimensions, just moving ahead in 4 directions might just not be enough.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, that's very good. That's nice. That's also logical.
That's modern science of view, as I can see it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. There are many times where modern science does agree with Vedic science as well. So this one seems quite plausible. Thank you.
Also, Prabhuji, one more realization from the time that you were explaining, you know, 1/8 of, sorry, 835,000. And so most of the modern analogous clocks cannot, or watches cannot measure it.
No.
So clearly these people who have written, like Maharshi Vedvyas, or people who have written these texts, are clearly, they had more faculties than a normal human would have.
Exactly. That you can see how powerful these living entities in those ages, right, the Vedic times, these people were so powerful that we can't even imagine. So they had all this knowledge at that time, right? And they didn't have, of course, they didn't have the modern computers and all that, but still they had this knowledge that was passed down to them by in parampara, all the way from Krishna, as we know. Right?
Exactly. And the mind-boggling proportions of a day and night of Brahma. Normal human being can't even write it down. How most people struggle to write what a billion would have, how many zeros. So
Exactly. So this is it. Everything. So modern science is still very limited. There's on the chat. There's a person. I don't know the name. He says KKHHRRHH. Thank you. I'm not sure what the name is, but it says the bigger the universe, the more complex it becomes. So this is again a very good point you make. Yes, the bigger the universe, more the complexity, and this is why you need more heads. Because don't forget, more heads means not just more eyes, but more brain. So that makes sense. Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else to discuss, thank you once again. Let's just go to the introduction slide. So I will just go and see who's on my